Good day. Bit of germination in our broad beans, and here also I thought I saw somewhere else as well. Bit of ground heave going on there, I think. Oh yeah, and there's a bit of ground heave. Oh yeah, there's another one you see just in there, but then there's a bit of ground heave going on here as well. So we've got germination in our, which are these? These are the Claudia Aquadulce across both trays. I think there's only one here and a bit of ground heave. And these are our Karmazin, which I think previously I found for me have germinated a bit later. Oh, but look, I think there's a little bit of ground heave going on there. There's a crack going across, so I'm sure something is pushing up there. Yeah, nice to see germination. I wonder how quickly these will get up and go. I'm really pleased that those broad beans have started germinating. So I'm just looking in this bed out here, and because the weather has been quite mild of late, even though we're due a cold snap from Thursday, the slugs and snails are really out in force, and the broad beans that are left in that bed over there and in the one at the front are being attacked by slugs and snails. So I hope as many of those seeds in the poly germinate as possible, because I think we'll need every one to replace what we lost in that really cold, deep cold spell that we had in January, and that we continue to lose because of slugs and snails. And in fact, it was Dorothy was asking about using eggshells to ward off slugs and snails. I have found it doesn't help at all, and in fact I sort of think it hinders. I've heard that the albumin of the egg, even if the eggshell is baked, the albumin, once it hits soil, becomes sort of damp and moist again, and slugs and snails like to go and lick on that. And of course they've got their own shells, so they need calcium, or calcium they'll need to build those shells. So having a little lick on eggshells, I think, is most probably something that they quite like to do. No highly scientific experiment from us on that. I just don't use eggshells in the garden, in the allotment. I do put them into our cedrics and our cedricitas, our wormery, every now and again, because the worms do like the eggshells. So I do use them in that way. Otherwise, they just get broken up and put into our compost bin, and then they break down over time. So yeah, that's fine. So yeah, have I said I'm going to be pruning roses? I can't remember, but yesterday, oh no, let's start again. I have taken those pebbles that I took from the paddock area where someone had dug out a whole load of pebbles, so I washed them, or stones they are actually. I washed them really well, got rid of all of the soil, and I've taken them to a neighbour that wanted them to fill in the hole that the root ball of that weeping willow left when we removed it from their front garden. So that hole is now filled with stones, and they've put their own ornamental stones on top, so that's good. And I was down here yesterday doing bits and pieces, tidying, and then I started pruning the roses. And if I've said that already, I apologise. So there's the iceberg, or I think it's iceberg at the front, and I think this one at the side of the shed is Princess Elizabeth. And I decided that I need to go in there, take out dead wood, take out crossing wood, and bring the whole, and disease wood of course, and bring the whole canopy down a bit, so that when we look at it, the flowers are at head height or lower, rather than us sort of craning up to look at them. So I'm going to be bringing those down. But as I was bringing them down yesterday, I thought, I could do some rose cuttings. So that's what I'm going to do. As I prune these, I'm going to do rose cuttings, and I'm going to start, I think, I don't know, which one am I going to start with? Not sure. Let's have a look. Here is our Queen Elizabeth rose at the back of the shed. That's Queen Elizabeth, of course, not Princess Elizabeth. I always forget that. Whatever, it's a lovely pink rose. And at the moment, it's most probably, I'm sort of 5'8" almost. And this is, I would say this is knocking 9.5 foot. And I would really like to bring it down quite a bit. So take maybe a quarter of the height off. And of course, when I prune this top area, there's going to be quite a lot that could be taken as cuttings. So I'm going to get on and do that. There's also dead wood. You can see here, maybe this wood is completely dead. There's, I think I would like to take some of these bigger branches out. I might take this central one, I think, here out, just to give a bit of room around the back of the shed here. And it's really old. I mean, you can see how, you know, how old that is. I'll need a saw to cut that. And then there's quite a lot of just whippy growth here. I'm going to take that out because that's not ideal growth. But yeah, I'm going to take the height down as the first thing. Then I'll stand back and look at what is crossing wood, what is dead wood, what's diseased wood or damaged wood, and take that out. And then I might leave it for a week and just have a look at how it's sitting. And I'll do that with the one at the front, which, as I say, I think is iceberg. But first of all, I'm just going to bring this whole canopy of roses down by about 3 foot. Well, you can see that canopy is, I would say, 3 foot lower from the very tip that was there, and is now most probably at about 5'10", 6 foot, something like that. Let me stand next to it. Yeah, about 5'10", 6 foot. And I'm going to just leave that for today. All I wanted to do today was bring down that canopy, and then I'll look at giving it a decent prune next week or later this week. Here's our prunings that I've just taken off, and there's some pieces like this which are going to be ideal for cuttings. I'm going to take this down to here, and then I'm just going to tidy that one up at the top, and I'll take that one down to there. But I'm not going to do that yet, because when I cut into the wood, I want to dip it directly into hormone rooting powder when I do it. And what I will do is, with this one here, I'm going to cut here. I'm going to take this bit of growth here off. I might just trim some of this growth on this one. I'm not sure if you can see some growth there. I'm just going to take that off as well. I'm going to put that to one side. We've got another bit here. Again, that looks pretty ideal to me. I'm going to cut that there, get rid of that bit, and then this bit I'm going to use for a cutting. Is there any more? Yeah. Again, there's a cutting there. If I take that leaf off, and that one, and that one, I've got a cutting here. I think I can do a cutting from here as well, and then I'll end up with this one as a cutting as well. Another nice bit. I'm just going to take that off, and that can come off. We'll have a cutting there, which will be this, and let's just take that off, take that whole growth, and then this one will also be a cutting from here to here. I'm going to take that off. You don't want to have too much for the plant to do whilst it's rooting. Right, I'm just going to do a few more and then we'll actually start cutting. Right, I'm just going to move these over here. I've got a pot with compost in. I've got rooting powder here. Just open it up. My secateurs, and I've also got a dibber, which I'm just going to use to make a hole right in the corner, halfway down the pot. Right in the corner. And then I'm going to take this cutting, well, pruning at the moment, and I'm going to cut it. There's a growth there, I'm not sure if you can see. Just going to cut it there. Take this growth off. Pop that in rooting powder, then put it halfway down and really firm that down. Let's get another one. So we've got this one here, which I'm going to cut again just below that growth. Pop it in, down in the corner, and then firm it down. This one here, I'm going to cut it below that growth. Down, really firm it in. So here I'm going to take this cutting to here, take that growth off. I think I'm going to get rid of that one as well there. Nice clean cut into rooting powder, down, and then firm. So these are most probably coming down to about here, and I've compacted the soil there. What I'm going to do is put more compost in now just to lift the level a little bit. And I'm just going to take some of this leaf growth off as well. We don't want energy going into leaf growth at the moment. It needs some leaves, each cutting, because we want to keep it alive. There we are, that's one pot, and I've got two others here which I'm going to do as well. In the end I did 4 pots, so there's 4 cuttings of Queen Elizabeth Rose in each of these 4 pots, so 16 in total. So there we are, we will see how many of those take. I mean, the ideal time to do rose cuttings is late summer, midsummer to late summer with that year's growth. That's really ideal. Much of what we've taken is last year's growth, obviously, but you know what, nothing ventured, nothing gained. By needing to prune those roses at this time of year, what was my other option? Put them on the dead hedge, the whole thing, or try and take some rose cuttings. And I know what my mum would always do, and it would be to try and take cuttings and get other things going. So I'm following in her footsteps very, very much. And the rest of the prunings that we've taken on have gone onto the top or into a dead hedge, and I've had to use my other gloves. These are too flimsy to push those really thorny branches into a dead hedge, but my really thick ones that are for brambles and thorny roses I have used. So I'm going to continue with the iceberg rose at the front, and I'm going to be doing very, very similar, which then makes me think I need to write labels. In fact, I'm doing the Queen Elizabeth, isn't it, in the black pots, and I'm doing the iceberg, or what I think is an iceberg or iceberg type rose. I'm doing that one in grey pots, so I will know which is which. But you know what I'm like, I'll most probably forget, so I'm going to use the labels that are in the corner of the polytunnel to do labels saying Queen Elizabeth and iceberg. But I'm going to do the Queen Elizabeth ones first and put those in, because by the end of the day I may have forgotten anyway. Right, I'm going to leave it there for today. Oh look, the polytunnel door is shut. I'm going to leave it there for today, and I will see you relatively soon down here. I think the next few days are going to be a bit wet, but yeah, I may see you. That broad bean over there, it seems to be growing literally before my eyes. I mean it is literally growing before my eyes, because it's minuscule growth, but I think it's most probably grown about 1/4 of an inch since I showed it to you at the beginning. Anyway, I'm going to go before I waffle on, and I know some of you like waffling and some of you don't. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. It is Saturday afternoon, and actually the weather is not too bad. It's quite sunny, but there's quite a lot of clouds that are slowly slipping across the sky, and yeah, when they cover the sun it gets a little bit chilly, but it's really lovely. And in fact, it's really quiet down here today. I don't necessarily mean, well, I do mean on the site as well. There are a few people around who are usually quiet anyway on the site, but Saturday is usually quite busy down here. You know, there's a lot of people sort of going on walks along the canal and things, so it's usually quite busy. But it feels quite quiet today, which of course is glorious, is absolutely glorious. Our skip has gone, as you saw from that very brief segment there. So that was yesterday morning, and the wonderful thing about that is that job, the details with all of that is now in a file, and that's been passed on to somebody else. So I won't be involved in organising that again. You know, if I'm free, I might come down and you know, see the skip in or see it out, but I won't be overseeing it, which is really great. That's super. And I'm just going to be pottering down here today. I'm not going to take you with me. I'm going to be carrying on with work on the 2 roses. Where I cut them down in height earlier in the week, I'm going to be pruning them now. So I'm going to be taking out dying wood, dead wood, diseased wood, and any wood that might be crossing. And then I'm going to stand back and look at the shape and just try and shape them up a bit. And also the shrub honeysuckle, the tree honeysuckle as I call it. I actually finally looked it up the other day. I'm not very good with Latin names, but it's Lonicera fragrantissima or something like that. But fragrant honeysuckle basically is what it's called. And it's a winter honeysuckle. That's its name, winter honeysuckle. It has a few other names as well around the world, but it is a winter honeysuckle. Oh, I can see Ginger Tom coming. Oh, how lovely. And I've learnt that it's best to prune that after flowering, so I'm going to do a little bit of shaping now rather than any drastic pruning, and then we'll prune it after it has flowered. I mean, the leaves are coming, I think it will be flowering maybe within about a month, so after that's finished flowering, maybe at the end of April, something like that, we'll actually do some pruning of that. But what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that the paths are clear for me, and if I'm working on any beds, when I bend down, I don't poke myself in the eye, or I am not poked in the eye by branches. So I'm going to just do a little bit of shaping rather than pruning, so cutting back rather than pruning. And of course, you know me, I think if I do see any nice bits that I could use for doing cuttings, I'll have a go at doing them. So yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. I was hoping to be doing a little bit of seed sowing just to get ahead in something, but with the temperature last night and Friday and Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Saturday, Sunday being 0 degrees, I don't want to be doing sowing when things are at 0 degrees, particularly what I'm going to be doing. So hopefully the weather looks as though overnight temperatures are going to be higher than 2 or 3 degrees at least over the coming weeks. So I'm going to do a bit of sowing tomorrow. So I'll be back down here then. So I'll see you then. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. It's now Sunday morning, and I'm not sure if you can see, but I think there's been a few foxes having a party in here, not because of poos, but because of all of the footprints in here. I mean, just ludicrous. I was down here yesterday, as you know, and this bed was relatively flat, and now it's had a lot of dancing going on, but that's fine, and the Mizuna has been completely pecked because of me not protecting it. It's been completely pecked by pigeons, and these two cuttings of perennial kale that I put in, that I was given, don't know how they're doing, but they sort of look okay at the moment. This leaf is from somewhere else, so that's going to go in the compost bin. But yeah, the fact that the Mizuna has been eaten has made me know that this is where the carrots and parsnips are going to go this year again. But that's fine, Yesterday I was doing some tidying. I was looking at Vivi's video of the roses. Her roses, same as this, but hers are much bigger because it's been in the ground so much longer. So yeah, I'm sort of been tidying up this area. Lots to do here. As you know, I do show you the areas that are unkempt. But I've been basically trying to clear this path a bit, well, quite a bit actually. Once this is put away and the tubs over there and the big tub there are moved, and these bits of wood are just shifted in a little bit, there will be access. I've cut the ceanothus back quite a bit. Needs to be cut back more there so that that post is clear so that I can get past there. And you can see here I've really had a good go at that rose yesterday, pruning it, and the one at the front as well. So yeah, I feel as though I'm making strides, which is great. So this is going to go into the shed today. That bag of compost is going to go onto a bed. This area here, I think you know, this is where the hedgehogs under here are what do you call them, pallets, and there's a sort of den in there for hedgehogs. So many of the prunings that I've taken off here, I've just sort of put on top there, which will be fine. I do need to tidy it up a little bit because this bed I am going to work. This is where potatoes are going to go this year, so I need to get in there and weed that. Hopefully that will be next week. I need to put the door back on our grow house, which I haven't done yet. I haven't brought the what do you call it, the whizzy thing, the drill down to do that, but I will do that. But yeah, let's have a look. I'm just really pleased. Oh, there's some rubbish there, plastic there. Yeah, I know it doesn't look particularly clear because the wheelbarrow's in the way and there's various other things in the way, but clearing this as I did yesterday, or began clearing it, has really helped me. So I'm going to continue doing that just for the first maybe half an hour, and then I'm going to be sowing some seeds. This to me is feeling much better, and I hope it's looking better to you. There's some cultivated blackberry that are overgrowing the path, so I'm going to need to tuck those in. I'm going to need to redo the twine. I've taken those compost bags up, emptied them, and that's where they're sitting at the moment, just piled in there. I'm going to get in there hopefully next week if there's not too much rain and get those weeds out, because as I say, this is where potatoes will go this year. I found a home for the wheelbarrow at the back of the plot, so that's great. Tidied up this area. I've got a bag here of rubbish. So this is the compost bags and various other bits of rubbish that I've just picked up. Some my own and quite a lot just blown in. And after I've switched off the camera, or maybe later this afternoon, I'll be back to just be picking up bits of plastic. You can see there's some red there. There's a bit of plastic down there, so I'll pick that up and take that away. I'll need to weed around the base of the rows another day. I've cut the ceanothus back a bit more so I can easily access here. I've also cut the rows a little bit to give me a bit of head access here. Maybe I need to cut a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. And our hedgehog den is sort of fine. I'm not necessarily talking about this here. The hedgehogs sort of, they scurry under here, and that's looking fine. So yeah, I'm pleased I've done that. We finally, more work to do, but we finally have a pathway that is accessible. And as you know, this is where we go to the shed. And I used to have that sort of frame on the shed that plants were on, but it fell off, and I've just tucked it in here for the moment to see whether I can live with that there. It means that these trays need to be pulled a little bit forward, but that's okay. I do need to find a home with more sun for these. Maybe the best place for those is actually here where the garlic is. Anyway, I can mull that. And if we go around the back of the shed, and if I stand over here, you can see how that has really sort of opened up that area, which is great, while still maintaining a habitat in there. And that's what I'm trying to do this year. I'm trying to get the habitat balance, the wildlife habitat balance with the habitat that we need for growing. More work to do over here, bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. Right, now I'm going to sow some lettuce seeds, 2 types, and some gazanias as well. And then I'll see you once I've done that. There was some sun to begin with this morning when I was doing that work, and now the clouds have come in and it's quite overcast. And even though it looks as though we're not going to get that 24 hours of rain from mid-afternoon that was forecast for today, when I looked yesterday, I think we're going to get some more rain anyway, which we really don't need. In my work, I've been going to other parts of the site, to dead hedges and things like that, and looked at standing water that we've got. And of course we're bordered by the River Brent as well, so at the moment there's really quite a high water table. So the water in certain areas is I wouldn't say it's holding, I wouldn't say it's stagnating yet, but it's holding. So yeah, we don't really need more rain at the moment. So I did those jobs, as you have seen, tidying up that path, or actually opening up that path. And then I have done some seed sowing. So we've got gazanias at the front here. Then there's outrageous lettuce, which is that red lettuce that was grown in outer space, which I really, really like. And then up here we've got our own save seed lettuce. I did wonder whether the outrageous lettuce and our own save seed were the same, but I've seen that the save seed is white and the outrageous lettuce seed is red, so they're definitely not the same. I think it may be Marvel of Four Seasons. What colour is Marvel of Four Seasons lettuce seeds? I can't remember. Right, those are going to go into the greenhouse, and they're going to be in a lidded tray. Simply because the ambient temperature in the greenhouse is always a degree or more at least higher than the polytunnel. So yeah, and as I've said before, the polytunnel is really ambient temperature all the time. The benefit of the polytunnel is when you've got it shut, you don't get any wind chill coming through, obviously. So yeah. Anyway, that is it for this week's A Week at the Plot. What will we be doing next week? I think sorting out that potato bed at some point at some point. I'm not sure when, because I know that it's quite a busy week this coming week as well. When I was doing the grasses, clearing the grasses, somebody did say to me, why don't you use a weed burner? You know, that will get rid of that dried grass. I don't want to use things like weed burners with, you know, flames and anything with sort of harsh chemicals on the plot, because of course we're trying to get that sort of nature balance. And if you use something with a flame, even if it's just going across the surface very briefly, you're going to be killing creatures that are in the top maybe half a centimetre of that soil, and I don't want to do that, or harming them at least. And I don't want to do that. So yeah, that's why something like a weed burner is not something that I would use, and harsh chemicals as well, as you know. Anyway, I am going to go now. I'm sure we're going to have a little drizzle relatively soon, so I will get home before that happens. Whatever you are doing in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope the weather is improving for you, if not good for you. And of course, if you're, you know, in the Antipodes, you're sort of going into your winter now, as we sort of, you know, go into our spring. So I hope your growing season has been well. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, I hope things are good with you. Happy growing. Bye.